We're just going to do it like this. Open that up. I don't have fingernails. Here, help me out. God, is that we ain't never done this
Don't
before?
worry, you can just wash your hands when you're
You're just going to have to.
I'll figure out the angle.
I'm tired of dealing with it. Let's get this shit dig on the road.
All right, I feel
Okay.
like the countdown's already happened. Should we pretend we're going live again?
We're live.
Everyone say it with us. 3, 2, 1.
And welcome to the Damn Good Average Bowler Podcast, episode X. With me as always, behind the camera, our very own Curtis.
What's up, guys?
And Coach Michael Price, our, oh man, you know what I forgot to do?
Pillar of knowledge.
Yeah. Pillar of Knowledge, local pro, and our very own CEO, Coach Michael Price. What's going on, Coach?
Little bamboozled right now with your phone.
Oh yeah, we're doing fine. We had a little bit of a swapperoonie.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, the valet service, they gave out the wrong phone to somebody, so we had to fix it. But we're very excited to finally be here for episode X, which actually worked out pretty cool because this is the third time we've tried to do this one.
Yeah.
Very hard man to get a hold of. We're ready for it. And Coach, I would ask you to introduce Wesley for us, please.
This guy right here, I've known for 3 decades. He has just recently been inducted into the Huntsville USBC Hall of Fame for a meritorious service, even though I believe he should have been in the superior bowler category because he may not have thrown a ball in 7 years, but the guy can roll the rock. So it's my pleasure, episode X, special edition episode where everything's just happening. My man, one of my best friends, Mr. Wes McKleroy. Welcome to the show. Hall of Famer.
Appreciate it.
Hall of Famer.
Thank you. Finally worked out after 7 months.
Yeah, there we go.
We did
We're
it in
here.
January, yeah. The first episode was supposed to be January 7th. We saw on the agenda here. So Wes, unfortunately I was in Pennsylvania when they did it. I didn't get to be here for it. So how did it talk to us about how it felt to find out you're going to be in the Hall of Fame and then it didn't happen? How was that?
It was kind of funny because I knew something was in the works from day one, from different sources asking questions about stuff. And when I finally got inducted, well, you and some other big bowlers. But when I finally got the induction, one of the local bowlers here met me in the concourse. Hey, congrats, Wes in the Hall of Fame. I said, cool, man, I appreciate that. I had no idea at all, so that was kind of the cat in the bag. Mike had something planned a week or so after that for a surprise thing, but it didn't work out too well.
The original plan was, I don't know if you guys know how they surprise the NFL players where they have the president, the big guy that comes in there with his red suit. But I had talked to Lee. Lee had it under wraps. And I don't know who told you, but I was like, dadgummit, now the cat's out of the bag. But I was gonna have him knock while we were going live here, and I was gonna have him come in here and do that to you. That was my plan. I was like, I thought it would have been great. I thought it would have been great live stream, but lo and behold, like I said, everything worked out. But it was, I know, and I was out there, with it, and they had y'all in alphabetical. I know they did the kids first, and then they did all y'all, and then he was like, oh, well, we're gonna have to sit here the whole time because I was like, yeah, you're last, and they said the best for last.
Yeah, my speech was like 15 minutes long that I had written on my phone. I think I was up there and out there in like 2.5 minutes. But it was a great honor. It really was. It's a lifetime thing, and yeah, third generation, which is the best thing for me. My grandfather, my mother, both in the whole thing. So me being number 3 was pretty cool. That's pretty much a special thing. Think of everything.
That is cool.
Cool.
On that kind of line of
And plus, I'm
heritage,
old enough now that I can be in the whole thing.
what's the age
That's the
limit?
neighbor. I think it's 40.
40. Is it 40?
Yeah, it's 40.
So we're gonna see any
That was impressive.
we're gonna see a 4th generation from like Declan or Molly or anything like
No,
that.
they're gonna be golfers.
They're gonna be golfers.
More money than bowlers do.
Golfing to me is harder.
It is hard because last time I went.
I'm not trying to like start with golfing. I tried golfing. I tried giving an honest run. I got my clubs. I was like, I suck at this. This is very hard.
Yeah,
I'd rather be working on 7 pins.
but golfing is fun because there's no expectation. It's like, oh, I ran out of ball. Well, my day's over.
Yeah.
No, golfing's one of the most stressful sports I've ever played. I can't hit the ball with the club, so I'm getting chunks of dirt the whole time and getting angrier and angrier. So no. Bowling
Marshals
definitely.
get angry at you when you clump their dirt. They don't like that.
Better tip the cart, bro.
I don't think that's ever usually a problem. You know, it's not.
No, not at all.
As soon as an old white guy gets 2 White Claws in him, he's throwing.
Oh, God, White Claws.
Hey, why not, man? Golf course is a
You're
place.
talking about Miller High Life, the champagne.
Ooh.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Kerosene beer.
Yes. I don't know whoever decided to put the word champagne with that, but talk about lying right to your face. But you mentioned something kind of cool though, with the kind of a line of heritage type of deal. So take us back, and your grandparents, they owned a bowling alley.
Yeah, the Monarch Lands, he actually built it in 1960 in Arab, and then he had Whitesboro Cleaners here. So they kind of moved to Huntsville, and the bowling center came with them. So they actually moved all 12 lanes from Arab, Alabama in 1966 and opened up Monarch.
What was that really like? Because I know a lot of times, if you watch any bowling, you see the PBA people talking about, oh, I grew up in the alley, grew up in the lanes, this and that. What was it actually like with them owning it?
That's true. I mean, I lived there.
Yeah.
In the morning, I wake up, 6:30, 6:45, we go to the bowling center and have coffee with my grandparents. And as a younger age, I would actually meet Jimmy Certain there, who was a local, legend, PBA bowler, championship winner. I'd meet him there in the morning, we'd practice a little bit, I'd go to school, come back after that, and bowl some more. And I would always, it was free, of course, but I would always have to do something, either spray shoes or brush shoes or clean pins or ball returns, whatever it may be, clean the kitchen. But that was kind of my day, every day.
And so you started bowling. I think you had told me too, when we spoke before, that you have a first almost recollection of, I think you were like 2 or 3
Yeah.
bowling, certain bowls. So you.
I started when I was right at 3. Remember back, this is 85, so there were no bumpers,
Yeah.
there were no rails. It was,
Rails. It
Robert
wasn't even
Dante.
inflatable. It wasn't even inflatable.
No, that was
Yeah.
the early 90s, the big waterbed inflatable thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was nothing there, but it's pretty much get it to the pins, and that was, what I did, and I did it all the time. I mean, sometimes growing up, I'd bowl 40, 50 games a day.
Playing on one board.
Oh, yeah, that was,
That's-
back then, we'll get into that later, but yeah,
Yeah.
the twig back then was actually the one board, it wasn't 10. Like it is now, oh, I'm playing the twig, well, you got it out to 5, so congrats on that. But yeah, it's changed a lot, but yeah, no bumpers, man.
So starting at the age of 3, kind of take us up through your timeline of bowling for Wes. How did that go?
I'm now bowl, of course, bowl, practice every day, bowl 2 or 3 youth leagues on Saturday. Penn Palace up here had double shift back then. They had, 70-something teams. Parkwood was full, Plainmore was full, Monarch was full, so I just could go around the weekend and league bowl. When I got old enough, I started hitting tournaments and stuff like that. SSJVAs were pretty popular back then. Mike's the winner.
I won as
SSJVA, yeah, I won 1 or 2. Yeah. But back then we didn't have the junior bowl, we didn't have a bunch of that stuff lined up as youth bowl, so it was kind of limited on what you could do, tournament-wise.
So when did you, well, let me ask this first. Did you ever, and when was it that you had a thought of, hey, I think I can be a professional bowler, like this is what I'm gonna be and do?
Yeah, I actually got my PBA card when I was 21, and tried it a couple times, went to some regionals. It wasn't for me. That was when sport patterns were starting to evolve a little bit. They were pretty much flat, not a lot of taper. So me, as in the guy that hooked the ball, I struggled. I couldn't adjust good enough. I didn't have enough experience, back home practicing on that kind of stuff. So I wasn't really, at that time in my life, I gave it a shot, but I wasn't really prepared to develop myself and my game for that. Being a house hack is not a bad idea. And I did that until I retired.
It's a real confidence booster.
Yeah, so a lot of people, it's a great thing for the game, especially the way that things evolve with equipment and lane
Yeah.
patterns and all that stuff. It's fantastic. But when you're traditional like me, where spares are a big thing, fundamentals are a big thing, nowadays you pretty much overpower the lane. The 200
Yeah.
now they just get it out, they overpower, they can get through anything. Pin action is stupid.
He's insane.
So, that's what has changed a little bit.
Spares, what are those?
I don't know.
I'm just basically saying that as we've evolved, it's
Yeah.
like there's more strikes, being thrown. But, I will tell you, I've watched people go 8 strikes in a game and only shoot 209.
But the fundamentals, that's in any sport you look at, you have to have that foundation, to be great, and that want to, that motivation. I just didn't have it. I just didn't have it. I would be old and go to college and drinking beer.
Living life.
Living life.
We'll come back to several of those things. And then as you're watching out there too, Curtis, let us know if there's any questions. For you guys, the viewers, we do these live on the different platforms, so you can join us in the conversation. It's a Q&A if you want to ask. Chime in, ask any questions for anybody on the panel. That's what Curtis is back there for, to relate to us. So let us know. You got Wes right here. You got two great resources right here, so shoot questions if you have them, and we'll get to them.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many nights there were over Monarch. We called them Monarch nights when we were younger. Like, all right, what do we got to do to make this easy? And we would literally get it, close the doors, pop the top,
That's
and,
right.
and let's just
Lay machine out.
let's just experiment. Oh, those were the days of like we had two lane machines.
Yep.
One was stripping,
One
and
was
one was
stripping.
boiling, baby.
Wow.
But we did that because, growing up, my grandfather, he did not want people to score good. If you scored good at Monarch, you were inevitable. And you could hit your spares, you could hit your mark, you could have the ball speed right. That was the fundamentals I grew up with.
Yeah.
Not a damn good average bowler.
And then as,
Damn good
but
bowler.
as in everything progressed, technology, it was almost like a war of lane conditions. One year Park would be wide open, then Plain War, then Penn Palace. And so I'm sitting there going, hell, what do we have to do?
Mhm.
So in probably 99, 2000, when we reopened it after he passed away, we got a new lane machine, we started tinkering. And he'd only had, I think, 1-800 and 2-300s in 35 years, maybe, 34 years.
Wow.
And that was Harold Brown, shot 300, Jeff Preston shot 800. And the first year after we got the lane machine, we had 3 8s and 5 3s. So it was almost like putting out there for us, we're 12 lane Wood Center. Hello, you can come bowl here too and score.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, if you average 180 at Monarch, you should average 220 at
Yeah.
so we had to kind of evolve. That hurt me to do that just because of the way I grew up. Everything was being fundamentally sound, and then it wasn't. So versus having 2 or 3 boards to strike or go high flush, now you got a 10. And hope you won't wrap a 10. So
Yeah.
the way it evolved growing up, I just saw it good and bad.
And I will say this too, because there was a time when the youth, I believe it was the youth city, it was definitely a youth city record, but it might have been a youth state record, but when Zarauskas came in there and he pre-bowled that night, or that day, and he shot 233 and back-to-back 300s, it was like, yeah, guys, like, I think one of my fondest memories is we were working the city tournament, and Thomas came over and shot 805
Yeah,
in the
sure.
city tournament, and he was running Playmore at the time. He came over to our, Monarch, and I say our house because like I said, I was there.
It was, yeah.
I mean, like, if you've been in the bowling business, like, you've probably been at like some point or another, like all the bowling centers that were collectively. Because I mean, like, I went to Playmore, I went to U, and then when y'all closed, I went to Parkway, and again, it's just like, it's like one big old giant circle.
Yeah, it's funny when Thomas shot that, he came up to me and I said, hey, if you want to come and, make you a lane pattern, let me know. Great guy, yeah, great, so that was one of our first eights we had.
Yeah, buddy.
Also, yeah, good stuff, man.
So while I'm thinking of it real quick, do you even know how many 300s you've thrown?
No.
What would you get to guess?
I think around 24, 25 maybe.
It's probably 25, I bet, because this loser's only got 24. I bet. Just say 25.
23 and a couple two. But my worst failure, 1 and 2 one night, and I shoot 300, game 1, game 2, 299. And I'm working the bowling center.
Yeah.
And the third game I go 7-10, 7-10, 185. Choker 1000.
Wow, that is a good one.
Look, you look at it one or two ways, okay? I tell people this story all the time about what you did, but I was like, look, here's the deal. You're working the back,
Yeah.
you're working the counter, and you're bowling, and you're having that type of success. To me, that's pretty good. Yeah, I got a goal. I don't know what it is on TikTok, but I got a goal because somebody gave it to me.
What's that mean?
But-
You get money?
Yeah, surprisingly so, yes. It's only about, sometimes it's 56 cents, sometimes it's 32, so it's $1, but it is. So, I mean, but no, like, you being able to do that under that, like, I would say duress, because we know running the back, running the counter.
And still being only 12 lanes, that's still 60 feet there and back,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm. So I look at that as a big plus. I mean, I know, like you said, choke-a-doke, whatever, but, that's still impressive though.
Hanging on longer than most would have been able to.
Yeah, probably.
I can't think of anybody else that's went 23 in a row, like from game 1, frame 1 to, I can't think of anybody else here in the city that's done that. I don't even think Churchy's done that. And it's funny, he said, remember, there's a commonality there. Remember when we interviewed Tony? Tony said Jimmy Certain. Wes said Jimmy
Yeah.
Certain. Just saying.
It is certain. But
He was a beast.
we've talked about a few things, especially like it evolving and getting away from the fundamentals and everything. So you guys talked to me about when the patterns did start to change. So when you came up bowling as a little tyke in the alley when grandparents owned it, and you're throwing, when was the first time that you like heard about, hey, there's a different oil pattern rather than just what we put down in the house? Was that, you know?
It's been around for a while, I mean, for a long time, believe it or not, it's not a newer thing.
Yeah.
Back in the Century 100 days, which is an old AMF machine, you could actually shim it up and put shims in it to make it, you know, a higher density oil or less on the outside or whatever. So you could always kind of manipulate the lane pattern. But back then, you gotta think, they didn't have a combo machine of stripping oil. So that made a huge difference there, especially on little lanes. So I would probably say it got popular in the mid-90s, I would think.
Right after resin was.
Yeah, right after resin, because they had to put
was
something out there,
big.
because
Yeah.
resin hooked so much.
So when you say
they couldn't
resin,
control it.
yeah, you're gonna get, so the resin, yeah, don't assume everybody are genius bowlers like you guys. I'm barely-
A lot softer, it was
Yeah.
rubber than urethane, and urethane got to where it was just sucking the oil up. So they came up with
Yeah,
resin.
plastic.
Yep, and then you got plastic.
Mhm.
So they had to do something, so they brought out, you know, more higher viscosity lane oils. They manipulated the patterns quite a bit more, and basically they were trying to make it bowler friendly.
What do you think,
Because
why do you
the-
think that is?
Because of
What do you
participation.
think? Or just
They were
getting more
losing
people doing
bowlers.
it,
I
like-
mean, you know, back in the 80s, they were slaying, I don't know how many memberships Huntsville had, but in the 90s, they started losing.
Well, I kinda wanted to ask you before, you said it was your granddad, right, when he owned the lanes, he didn't want people bowling high there?
No.
So is that just because
I
you
mean,
wanna
he-
keep
he
people
wanted-
coming back to try to bowl better?
Well, that, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, you know, and actually having a true sport behind it.
He's like, man, I only bowled 150 today, I wanna try to bowl 160 by day, I wanna go back and try again.
Look at it
And
like-
still making it, you know, a passionate thing and making it where hitting your mark meant something.
A true challenging sport.
Absolutely, and, so, but I'm not saying it's a bad thing with how we evolved, of course
Right.
not, but, it's just so different.
Yeah.
Look at it like this, okay, so it's like, you know, mid-90s, resin comes out, and then, you know, scores are getting higher, and the people, the historians, the people who've done the research, what have you, would say, what have you, like, look at it and go, okay, memberships was up here, and it's almost like when that happened, then all of a sudden it looked like it's doing this, but then at the same time, 300, 800 scores, you know, were becoming a thing, they were trickling up, and again, like evolving, like it was evolving in the 90s, so you had to do something. It's like he said, you had to do something to bring the people in. Now, the evolution of what it is now from where Wes and I are at is the two-handed bowling. Like when
Yeah.
Belmonte made it big in 2010, everybody was like, think about it like this, if you ever notice when something new or innovative has come out, there's always been that like,
No,
I don't want it.
Definitely pushback.
But now it's like, you have like, again, you either evolve or you perish.
Yeah, you know, USBC also saw that, what, 2 years ago, with static weights and bowling balls. You know, back years ago, static weight meant something. Yeah, that means your ball's gonna flare, it's gonna hook more. Lincoln is the same way, you had to have at least 3 inches of wool out there. Well, now you don't. So you can walk up the 5 board now.
How much do you have to have now? Is there a
None.
limit? Really? So do you think that's the same time to try to make the sport more bowler friendly? Do you think that's when we started getting away from the fundamentals a little bit? Do you think those would go hand in
I
hand?
think
or-
so. Pretty close, I would think.
I agree with Wes, and I'll give you this example. We were talking about SSJBA. There was about a core youth around like from 2002 to about 2004. You know who I'm talking about. Like, there was a core 10, 9 or 10 of us. We would go to these SSJBA tournaments, and all they're doing is putting their house shots out, their league shots. They're not putting like sport power like they are now. And we are sitting here rolling 8 games of qualifying and averaging 224, feeling pretty good about ourselves. And it's like, oh, well, you missed the cut by like 50. And it's like, you average 225 and you miss the cut by that much? Like, my worst thing was we would get Tupelo. And I averaged,
Those ball returns?
oh yeah, it was like, the ball return was like, you know, and you shoot the 10 pin was a pain in the, and you know what? But I averaged like 229, feeling pretty good after match play, going, okay, I'll be in the top 5. I was 8th. 229 average, and I'm 8th.
Wow.
Just saying, so it's kind of been like that whole like, I don't think anybody's figured out a happy medium yet. I don't think, just my personal opinion. I don't know how you would feel about that, Wes, but.
I mean, I think the Nationals are trying to find that retention, because they can't keep quitting, or bowling, you know, one league versus 2 or 3 like they have in the past. So I think they're trying to find that happy medium, and, you know, they're raising sanction, and the thing about it is now is, you don't get recognition for, pretty much, you know, back then you could get pins and lapels and rings and
Yeah.
all kinds of, all the time. You know, and not even all locals do that even. You
We
know, we're
got
lucky
recognized-
Huntsville does that, you know, we have awards and stuff like that. But I think that was kind of the turning point also of, is it better for the sport, or is it better for people's pockets?
Mm,
You know,
Well,
that's.
we were getting patches for beating our coach back in the day.
Yeah.
We were, and those patches meant
So, I mean,
something.
that's evolving maybe in a worse way, but still, I think that the greater good, they want to see participation up, they want to see more sanctions up, and things like that, so. I don't know if they're ever gonna figure it out, because the pro golf people haven't figured it out.
Well, they went live.
Yeah, well,
Live became a thing, and now PJ,
Yeah, so,
like,
I mean, who
oh,
knows?
let's live.
live golf, that's the new,
That's a high dollar pay.
yes.
I have no idea what this is.
It's better than like, when they came out, PGA was very like,
So it's just another avenue for golfers to go and play in
Yes.
new tournaments, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Cause, we haven't really planned on bringing this up, but I will right now, cause I just thought of it, but I don't, you know what I'm talking about
Mhm.
here. With the getting into, especially since you run the center here, I don't know if we had said that, but he's our GM here. String pins,
Yes.
right? Cause it seems to be such a hot topic all the time,
Mhm.
like second to only, you know, two-handed bowlers maybe. But do you think in general, what's your own thoughts on it? And then what's your maybe thoughts on it as running a center here? Is that gonna be good, worse for it? Cause we've actually talked with some college coaches. Colleges are gonna be implementing it because it's
Yeah.
cheaper, this and that. So do you
Right.
think that could be good for the sport, bad for the sport? What do you think?
I mean,
Is it
honestly,
anything fundamentals also? That's just
I mean,
all.
not really, I would think like
Okay.
footwork and spare shooting and stuff, so.
Okay.
I think the thing about string pins is, as a proprietor or a center manager's position,
Yeah.
you know, these machines that we have are 1959.
Yeah, I know.
And the problem is, you know, is your seasoned facility managers that have been around for 34 years, those guys are done with it. They're retiring, they're, you know, dying off.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the benches haven't been stacked enough underneath them to have these good mechanics.
So, yeah.
You know, younger kids now, they don't want to start as a young mechanic and then grow up as a career.
Yeah.
Because it's a very long process, if they want to be promoted tomorrow. You know, but in this industry, you have to learn, I mean, there's 3,000 moving parts, if not more, on these things, you know, so they're very temperamental.
Yes.
So as a proprietor, if I was to build a bowling center tomorrow, I'd be a string heartbeat.
Yeah.
Just because of low maintenance, facility costs, you know, FMs aren't cheap.
That's what we're
You
hearing a
know,
lot.
so, you know, parts don't break as much. We have got probably 20, 30 centers in our company with string pins, and, there's nothing negative about it. I get the pin action, I get the strings, the free fall, I understand all that stuff, but if we don't do something on that end, then what?
Mhm.
We're gonna have machines that just don't run.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, somebody went on the HUSBC forum and said, hey, we're gonna build a new center, how would everybody feel
Yes.
about the string pins? And that was met with a nuclear no. Like, it was like overwhelmingly, everybody's like, no. But once again, it goes back to that whole thing, like the whole, when Belmonte came out, everybody's like, no. And you're saying it, proprietors, I've done calling all, I had one proprietor on the Calling All Bowlers episode, another podcast that I do, y'all. And he was like, if you're building a bowling center, you're gonna put string pins in. It's like, at this point, it's cost effective. It's like you said, it's like, what's the difference between, like I said, you gotta be able to like, business will dictate to you what you have to do,
Yeah, absolutely.
unfortunately. And
You know,
unfortunately,
and bowling centers, they're built to make money. They're not a nonprofit. You know, we're here to make money. And how greedy you are, that's on you. But at the end of the day, I think string's the way to go. I really do. And you know, if they wanna do an average adjustment of, you know, strings versus free fall.
Yeah.
well, they do that.
A 4-pin difference or whatever it may
Yeah.
be. If they implement that maybe, but there again, who knows how long it's gonna be before strings are really a big thing. It still
another-
costs money to put.
Here's another point to that, to another, like, throwing another thing into the, throwing a wrench into the plan. Like USBC, like, has you specify now, is it like freestanding machine, like you said, or string pin?
Yeah.
Like, they separate the average, like, if you're bowling a challenge pattern, they have the logo on your profile like challenge, if they have sport. My thing is like, I wonder what's gonna happen for people like myself that do, well, I'm doing tournaments, but I'm doing scratch, so it don't really matter. But for those tournament directors that run handicap tournaments, like, when you're looking up somebody, you know, how do you base what average that they're gonna go off of when there's so many different options, especially between string and
Yeah.
standalone. So that's just another, I guess it's another conversation for another day.
Makes sense though, because it's hard enough sometimes, even just on regular free-falling pins like this with tournaments and stuff of establishing somebody's legitimate average coming into it. How many sticks should they be having? So you can have enough of those issues just in regular bowling
Right.
before you even bring in another kind of
You
string
know,
bowls
and
or this or that.
piggybacking on that, you know, you gotta think also, say if John bowls at XYZ that averages 180. But John also comes to Huntsville, he averages 215.
Mhm.
When he goes to a tournament. You know, we had a bunch of people, and still do, that do that, you know, and
Try to buck the system.
they try to buck the system. So that's always been a thing too.
You know who you are.
We're talking about Curtis.
Oh, no, I was looking like what I do.
Curtis is the system,
I
baby. He
have-
don't buck it. He
I
is
have
the
still never seen Curtis bowl yet in my life.
You probably will never.
Apparently, he's got a 198 average, because we heard on one of
I
our
remember when Curtis
episodes.
first started bowling.
I had
It was
111 pins of handicap.
Yeah, but then,
I totally
fast
believe
forward 5 or 6 years, and yeah.
When I bowled my first 200 game, I had 93. It was hilarious. The other team, they were like clapping. They were somewhat happy, but also at the same time,
it.
But see, that's the thing about it, is like, it's so quick to throw, like, that term is, I mean, again, are there? Yes. Are there people that don't deserve that? They do not deserve that, because legitimately, like, you could tell by somebody's score, like, if they're averaging like 120, guys, they're allowed to have a 200 game if they hit it.
Oh, yeah.
They bust a little tail. Like, I remember the first time we shot 500. I remember the first time I shot 600.
Mhm.
And it's
And
just
there,
like,
nowadays, it's, sorry,
No, no.
nowadays, it's so much easier to average 180 quick. There again, technology, lane conditions, all that, and you practice. So we have people here that, they're here 3-4 days a week, they're league bowlers, they started from the Oxfords. Amazing example. I mean, they're addicted, they're great people, and they're bowling good. I mean, they're really increased over the past 6 months, they've gotten so much better. But it's over practice, you have to practice, you can't just expect to wake up one day and shoot your first 300. You know, you gotta have effort.
You know, technically, I did. I woke up late, shot my first 300.
Huh?
Remember my first 300? You drove my ball.
I'm sure I did.
He did. Hammer Blade Pearl.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm not saying that. That's Jordan memory.
Yep, Blade Pearl.
But no, like, I literally woke up. I was late for league. I had no practice.
There you go. I've done that with things before, like that
Yeah.
CrossFit tournament where I'm running late, I don't even have time to warm up, I go right at it.
Yeah.
You mentioned something, did you finish on a point? I didn't mean to interrupt, sorry, because I know you were on something. that
No,
you
he finished my sentence. So we're good.
Okay, you said something in there that actually ties into the next one, you think, for these, especially because my kid, you know my boys, Branson is starting his second year of high school bowling as an 8th grader. We're trying to push that in youth, this and that, and like you say, people that get addicted to bowling, or I wanna get better now, blah, blah, blah. Do you see a thing, maybe they don't even know that they are more of the quantity over quality mindset or mentality?
Right.
You know what I mean? Do you think people fall into that without even realizing it? Or
Yeah.
those types of things?
I do, because I mean, a lot of people that come to practice, they put their names in, they score, they wanna shoot a good game.
Mhm.
The best way to practice, y'all, don't put your name in. Come in one day, work on your 10 pin, work on your footwork, work on your ball speed, work on something, and then put your name in every now and then, and kind of see your progress. But there's a quantity for you, but the quality, so you have to work on the fundamentals, and like I said, spare. It's amazing, you can watch these people bowl league, and it's like, bro, you can average 20 pins higher if you just pick up a spare. But they don't strike, they whine, or they don't strike a lot, they whine. About what? Well, the lanes burn up it. It's like, take excuses out and stop. Practice, how about that? How about a good quality practice? And don't worry
Adjust.
about the strike.
Yeah.
If you spare the strikes, you're gonna come.
Yeah. And that's a big thing, I know, the first time I heard you say it when we started hanging out talking a lot was, you know, strikes are for show, spares are for dough. And of course, I understood it right away, but just that's pretty profound.
Yeah.
The more you think about it, because it's like, yes, strikes are cool, they're fun to throw and everything, but I know now more like, because you can work your ass off, you can fight. It's so funny, I'm sure you guys have done it way many more times than I've probably ever bowled in my life, but those games where you feel like you're fighting for your life for a 180. Just with those
Yeah.
spares, you know what I mean?
It takes a
Things
lot
like
of
that.
discipline too.
But it takes a lot of it, like it takes a lot out of your.
mental, yeah, and then, think about it, you throw 5 good shots in a row, you go 5-bagger, you leave the bucket.
Yeah.
What do? You chop the bucket. You just lost how many pins off that streak?
Yeah.
Chopping is one of the worst.
Simple things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even worse if you chop a 610. That's pretty good. Oh, chop. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know what it does to you. I don't know what it does to you, but it's like you can be on a string of strikes, you leave a 10 pin, and let's just say you pick it up, and then it's like 7 pin, 9 pin, 4
And
pin.
then after that, what do people do? That's where adjusted.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, you're blistering the pocket, yeah, don't make this,
Mhm.
if you can spare.
You know, I was told
There
one
you
time,
go.
I was told one time, by someone, there was somebody on All-Star, like way back in like the mid, late nineties. They were on the front eight. I think it was Buddy Creek, and he switched balls. And they're like, what'd you do that for? He went bucket. It's like, well, I didn't like what I was seeing. I'm gonna tell you this right now.
You got the front eight, bro.
If
do
you
what
are
you're
on a
doing, you're good.
string, don't change anything until you absolutely have to.
I mean,
But-
you wanna stay one step ahead of the lane, of course, but I'm not moving. That's, I'm starting to see a lot of play down the lane that's different.
That's funny though, because it just made me think when you said try to stay ahead of the game, because a move like that in any sports really, you got the front eight, or you're going for two, you know what I mean, or you're gonna try the hidden ball trick in baseball, whatever. That's one of those things where like, because he left the bucket, it's a Gomer move, you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
right.
But if he'd have hit and finished at 300, it's like, oh, he's a genius, he stayed ahead
Right.
of the change, it was so smart, what made you do that, you're a hero, you know what I mean? It's one of those things in any sport, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, you know what I mean? Not so much
Pun
damn.
intended.
Yes.
Pun intended, damn.
You're harried if you do, you're harried if you don't. As long as you're harried. It's a circle. Anyway. With the two-handers, let's touch on them a little bit, just because it made me think of something, through the conversation we're having. Kind of the handicap thingy, not to pick at the sandbagging, but it's pretty easy, even I can tell, it's like, bro, you're not a 150 ball, you're not a one set, you're not this, or you're not, you know what I mean? You can tell when somebody's like way better, and it's like, you're not a, bro.
Doesn't, and, no, for what, here's my thing, okay, and I don't mean this insultingly, okay, but.
I don't
But
either.
no, but my point is, it's like, if somebody like yourself, like, not as experienced,
Mhm.
if you can see that,
Yeah.
how do you think people like Wes and myself feel if we're trying to run handicap tournaments and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Like, how do you
Yeah.
think we feel? Like,
That's
if
the
you can
problem.
see it.
Yeah.
That's my point. So it's like
Yeah.
if somebody that's averaging, like legitimately averaging 160, 170, 180, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're averaging on Sundays, but forgive me, I've got a lot.
170.
But, okay, 170. So you're averaging 170, you can see it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, okay. That's my point.
And a hell of a point it was.
I think Chase is commenting on the sandbagging comment.
Mhm.
Chase Schultz, he said, just wait till the last 3 weeks of league and you'll see who can bowl.
That's
That's
very
very
good.
good.
Very good
Yeah, absolutely.
comment.
Yeah.
That's a very good comment.
And then with the last part kind of on this general conversation is back to the two-handers a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause maybe it's just with our league because it is kind of more for beginners and things like that. But even I'll see in the alley and then other places where they'll be killing it because we know that the two-handers are going to get way more reps. They get that destroying pin action, those types of things. But a lot of times it may be you're either striking or open. It may seem.
Tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
X's and O's.
And just for a point, I started two-handed before it was cool.
What'd you think
Not,
about
not a
that?
full, this, I mean, growing up, I never actually had a traditional release.
Mhm.
I would carry the ball up to probably my shoulder and let my,
Mhm.
but I think that was just me being young, trying to hook the ball.
Yeah.
That's what you wanna hook it. I think that, I'm not dissing the two-handers at all, I think it's a great thing. They're still bowling, they're still throwing the rock
Oh,
at pins,
for sure.
right? So I
Mhm.
mean, how you get there doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
There's a dude on, I saw on Facebook or something the other day, really unorthodox, gets up there, spins it.
Oh, you're talking about
This-
Tim Cagle that they just showed the
Yeah,
pro,
yeah.
the tour
So
trial.
I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how you get there, right?
Dude, he averaged like 250 on the pro
Yeah.
pattern for like 7 or 8 games.
Yeah.
He's just like, you know, LJ First used to do that.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah, LJ, I was the first one I remember that, but
Yeah.
Dustin,
Yeah.
we're talking about a style, like, he literally, you're holding the ball like this, he's considered right handed. He can get up there, and he's like, I call it Hadouken it.
Yeah.
And like, and the thing about it is, it's left-handed,
Yeah.
in the pocket.
But I think, you know, if it was me and I was 15 years old starting to bowl, I'd do that, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just because overpowering, like, you can do stuff that straighter and greater people
Yes.
really can't do. I mean, usually the people that go up the boards and work can adjust and kill you on spares. Like I said, the two-handed guys, they just want to see you hook and watch the pins fly.
So do you think it's harder for if you got a one-hander, conventional per se, or whatever, and a two-handed guy? They start at the same time developing their skills and whatnot. Do you think the two-hander is any lack of, is he gonna be able to learn that precision in getting the spares? And do you think they're gonna progress at the same rate, you know what I mean, as far as proficiency in spares, things like that? Is it harder for them to learn spares?
I don't know, man. I still think lane conditions play so much into
Okay.
that. Traditionally, and I think it'll probably progress now, probably about the same
Well, I think the approach to spare shooting has evolved too.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think that's evolved. And what I mean by that is like, and I say this, again, I say this with utmost kindness, but since we've had high school bowling introduced here, the number one thing I wish that the coaches would implement in their practices is, remember Jeff would have the A&M girls here back in the day, and he's like, you're gonna shoot this spare, and it's off a full rack, like, we're not setting them up, like, you're gonna do this off a full rack, you're gonna hit 6 of them before you can leave practice. And that right there, that mentally sharpens and toughens you up. So, and the thing about it is, if you're doing this on a full rack, and it's like when you leave it, like in a tournament or Baker or whatever the case may be, whatever situation, league, whatever, you're not as anxious about it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
how
you have confidence.
anxious. Yeah, it is how anxious you are. And I've been there plenty of times. I know you ain't been there in 7 years, but still. But think about it. Like, no, you like one time or another, you leave a temp in here, like, oh God bless it. I'm just like, I'm not feeling good about this. And it's just, again, I think the way coaching has a lot to do with it too. Like, we talked to Cable in episode 2, and he was talking about the evolution before it was evolution. So again, it's just like, what do we have to do? And I think if people, coaches, especially like for high school teams, implement like a spare shooting program, you'll notice a big turnaround. That's the only thing I notice in these matches we have here in the fall is spare shooting is just, let's just say it for what it is, it's atrocious.
We got a comment from a guy named Brian. He's saying, as a starter of two-handed, I'm having issues with getting closer to the lanes when releasing the ball.
Hmm? I think that's what he's saying, closer to the lane. So he's saying he's like, if this is the foul line, he's like this far, and he's letting it go. I think that's what he's referencing. If not, let us know. But yeah, another thing about it is like two-handed too, has been told is it's from the power of your legs.
Yep.
You have to generate that. And you see so many people starting out here like thinking they gotta do it with their arms.
Right.
And I've tried it too, and it feels awful.
And like for that, it could be, you know, you starting first set of dots maybe.
Yeah.
Just trying to get that speed up, it is falling kind of short on it.
Yeah.
And just moving up with the approach, a couple feet.
Lord Eternal just said, people get so astonished when I throw a backup ball as a two-hander.
Oh, no, I mean, look, you can't say nothing because there's one, nobody can feel astonished by that, and I'm gonna tell you why. Pete Weber had no line in the tournament one day,
80.
and he started throwing a backup ball. And he even looked at Robert Smith during that one time, I think it was the Japan Cup, I don't know what year it was, but he goes, Robert, I got nothing. Robert goes, you gotta do what you gotta do, man, score.
And there again, as long as you get from A to B, doesn't matter what you line, doesn't matter red rate, doesn't matter any of that stuff.
Yeah.
There's only one goal in bowling, it's not going pins down.
Yeah. So they're throwing backup ball for the primary, right? That's what they're saying? Because they're.
That's what Eternal said, yeah, I know.
Yeah, the backup ball is a
Right.
two-hander.
They're talking about the same thing, 'cause my eighth grade, he does that, he's a right-hander, but he throws a backup ball, so it comes in with a left-handed curve. He'll just turn it over and then throw conventional if he leaves something on the left. So do you do backup every single throw, or can you turn it over and like throw it from the right side too? Just curious. We'll be moving on.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know. Like, follow, and subscribe.
Luke said, I have been a two-hander for 2.5 years. In my opinion, no steps works miracles for your form.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. And a lot of that goes back, again, this is, everything we're talking about is fundamentals. Whether it's two-handed or one-handed, whatever it is.
I do wanna get, Wes's, expertise here is like the pro shop aspect.
Mhm.
Tell us how that began for you.
Excuse me, back to the Monarch days, we reopened after my grandfather passed away, of course, in 99 or 2000. And I wanted to be
How old are you at this time?
18.
Okay.
And so my father said, hey, we've got this empty building out here. I know you like technology and bowling ball stuff. What about a pro shop? I said, sure. I had no idea what I was doing. None. And, you know,
Way to find out.
one way to find it. So we got all the equipment, got some stock in there, and I went to some classes. And the book I read was Bill Taylor. It was the original Bill Taylor book, who actually defunct the rule of, what was that called?
Rule 31.
That one. He defunct that one. But a genius. And I went to the place, I think it was in Nashville, we had a seminar where he was up there. And I picked his brain about technology and about this fitting and drilling, just all the basic stuff. And went back and started on my own, got a bunch of house balls, and there you go. But I mean, there again, that's when proactive cover shots were coming out. Reactive was a big thing, of course. They started making all these offset cores, That's where it got my mind about flare and RG and differential.
Mhm.
That's when I was like, ooh, this is like science, this is cool. And it was, different layouts you could do and access points and all the tech stuff, was really cool to me.
You enjoyed that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to backtrack, but we had a user that just said, anyone have an opinion on string pin bowling? My center just went to those.
Apparently they just joined us. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Again, it's like what you just said, elaborate, just to summarize what we talked about earlier. What he said, what sole proprietor that I interviewed on one of my previous episodes of Calling Out Bowlers, looking like this is gonna be the way of the future. So like if a new bowling center is getting built, I would probably expect string pins.
I say adapt to it, don't think about it being negative, go in with a positive attitude on it. You're gonna see some different pin action and things, but at the end of the day, for business to stay afloat now, especially a new center or a center getting string pins, it's a business move. It's nothing personal about the sport or all that stuff, it's just, you have to do it. It's just, this is not affordable anymore to have a rack of mechanics in the back, where you just have 2 or 3 calls a week, so. And plus it helps the bowlers too, they don't have to worry about lanes breaking down all the time or whatnot, they can have a better experience. And the pin action, you're looking at 2 or 3 pins different, I'll be optimistic on it.
And let's look at this for what this is, y'all. We are in a world of instantaneous results. We do not like waiting.
Instant
We do not want-
gratification.
Yeah, that too, whatever you wanna say to that, we don't like waiting, we want it now. So for those of you that I feel like are fighting the evolution into string pins, I mean, you kinda asked for this.
It's almost like the now modern day two-handed bowling when that came out. It's not, I don't think it's going anywhere.
Again, evolution is evolution. Something is
Yeah.
going to come along, somebody, someone, something is gonna transcend it, and they're gonna make it theirs, like Belmo made, like every game. And the thing about it is, a lot of people lost this in transition. I think, a lot of people forget, before Belmo, it was Osku.
Yeah.
Remember Osku Palermo? I remember 2004, 2005, he was two-handed against, I think he had a match against Walter Ray, and I was like, what is this? Why is he throwing this ball like this? But I think what stood out most to me about Osku is how hard he would throw it at 10-pin. Like they were clocking him at like 32 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Good Lord.
Good God. But he was absolutely obliterating a 10-pin. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good,
Going
man.
down the rabbit hole here, sorry.
Nope, you're perfectly fine. That kind of pulls us into a few things to talk about. Let me do this to get us started. How bowling is evolving, and then maybe the string pins are helping and whatnot, but even traditional centers are becoming kind of entertainment centers. Do you think that's helping the sport overall? Kind of, what's the concept behind an entertainment center, the difference in an alley? How's that gonna help us? Those types of things.
Well, I think, entertainment centers now, probably the bowling centers are being built, probably 90% of them are entertainment centers.
Mhm.
I don't think bowling as a whole is enough draw anymore. I think that,
I think it's a good way of saying it, really.
yeah, but I think that being the kids control ultimate dollar. At the end of the day, they do. They want the frills and bells and whistles, they want the arcade games, laser tag acts, they want all that stuff. They want an option. You go to a traditional bowling center, it's gonna be bowling, a couple arcade games, cold beer and hot food.
Yeah.
So they need an option now. But, and really looking, like Huntsville, we had 2 built in the past, 6 years.
Yeah.
And that's just, some of them are league heavy, some of them are very, very arcade heavy. Neither one really have leagues too much, but they're all about, the open play.
That's what I was gonna ask, yeah, sorry. And I don't even know if it would be drastic enough for income to even notice of the, entertainment center, but when they go to that type of field, do you think that's going to dissuade real bowlers from going, like, if I wanna practice a few games, like we talked about with my fundamentals, are bowlers gonna say, hey, I'm not gonna go there because that's an entertainment center, I'm gonna go to the actual bowling center over here?
It's already happening.
Yeah, it's happening. And I think that, I'm glad for it because they're keeping bowling out there. At least that is an option.
Yeah.
They could build it like Dave and Buster's and not have bowling
Yeah.
anymore, because they used to,
Yeah.
not anymore. So
Yeah.
at least they're still having that option.
But including bowling.
Including
and
bowling,
the
yeah. So
entertainment.
I think that'll help keep the longevity of not just the sport, but just the game up there.
Yeah, well, you got anything on that one?
I mean,
Oh,
no,
okay.
that's it. I think he nailed it on the dot right there.
Now, what happened with the league bowling, who knows? I mean,
Right.
not a lot of people
Well,
even
you-
offer leagues at big
Yeah.
entertainment centers, but, that's one thing that traditional bowlers or centers, I think, will be around for a long time, is just because you've got diehard league bowlers, you've got people new, they're getting addicted, they're diehard, you know, they wanna bowl. And, you know, if I was a league bowler, I wouldn't want all that racket in my back.
That's true.
I don't care about.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
certain people do, and that's my only concern. I think if the markets get overran with entertainment centers, league bowling will suffer. It will happen.
Yeah.
Because I don't, sorry,
No, go ahead.
because I don't think the people, the companies with these entertainment centers, they don't look at the leagues. Yeah, but you have to, even, but I know their model's so much different than like ours is here, traditional, but our company has tons of entertainment centers, tons. All the new ones are entertainment centers. But I also think that there's gonna be a line eventually to where leagues are top of mind. Because you gotta think, you gotta treat a league like an event, right? You know what to expect, you know what John wants to eat, you know what Susie Q wants to drink, you pretty much know these people, and they're family. And I think that the more we're seeing entertainment centers take over the markets, then leagues will suffer. Just because open bowling, believe it or not, people, I promise you, league bowlers used to be 80% of their business.
Yeah.
Then it was 60, then it was 50, then it was 40, now it's 30, 20, 5, who knows? Depends on the market. So that's when, you know, that's the concern for me. As an NBA league bowler, is when, are they gonna start offering more leagues at these places? If they don't, then what? Say if there's 3 entertainment centers and all your local centers are closed, what about your league base? So, it's kind of a scary thing to think about. We just hope that everybody can evolve in it and
Be more accepting.
be more accepting. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of things with that. Something we talked about too was perfect right here, another great lead in, being customer service heavy. That's what you're talking about, like knowing your league bowlers, knowing regulars, knowing who likes this, knowing who's gonna bitch about the fan, knowing all those types of things, and you can already deal with it. That's being the customer service heavy.
Yep.
That's really good. And talk to us about, because you mentioned this almost a year ago now when we spoke about it, but Walmart versus Publix, and then being customer service heavy. What does this mean to you, and like, do you think that the entertainment centers are gonna start getting away from that being customer service heavy to their bowlers, and the bowlers, again, that's gonna help the decline, but with all of that, talk to us about Walmart versus Publix.
Yeah, I mean, and I think like, in the bowling world, you don't leave with anything tangible. You know, you leave with experience, you leave with hopefully a full belly, hopefully a little buzz if you're into that kind of stuff. So service has to be there, it's gotta be number one, especially with, you know, competitive markets like we are now. Everybody's charging pretty high dollar on what your experience is. So if they leave with a bad experience, you can be screwed. That's retention at its finest.
And
You're gonna lose them, and
Yes.
they're not gonna go back. So I think that we're very focused on customers. That hurt me. Like Curtis, you know, Curtis knows he's the best of them. He's the best social I've ever had work for me, and that's seriously.
Aw.
But I've got one golden rule. It's not a big book. It's one rule. It's don't let the customer leave pissed. That's it. So what can you do to rectify it without their machines break, their food's cold, something? What do you do to make that right? So that's customer service, is being one step ahead of their experience. So you go back to Walmart and Publix. If I go get a can of beans from Publix, it's $3, and Walmart $1.50. Publix is cleaner, yeah. Publix is nicer, yeah. But guess what? I'm leaving with something tangible.
Yeah.
You ain't gotta be nice to me at checkout. I don't need you to take my buggy to my car, right?
Yeah.
But they do it.
But they do it. But I don't wanna pay 30% higher price just for somebody to smile at me at the grocery store.
Yeah.
But at a bowling center, you better be nice to me. Because it's not
expensive.
It's getting expensive.
It's
Yeah,
expensive.
so
I mean-
you better have the service to back it up.
Yeah, and I remember when shoes were $1 to rent, and they are not $1 anymore.
You just gave away your age.
You know what?
Well, your
Let
hairline
me
does.
read between these. Oh yeah, that's a
So
lot.
do I.
My hair
Yeah,
checked
same
out
thing about hairline.
2 decades ago. My hair checked out.
Same.
But actually, Curtis, thank you for intervening there, because we're actually moving into a great question that was from you. Questions with Curtis. This was for Wes. Oh, I'm gonna read it. Don't worry.
Okay.
This is.
I'm already reading.
Yeah. In your 30+ years in the business, what do you believe to be your greatest contribution to the Huntsville bowling community, or what would you like your legacy to be? That was good. I added in the legacy.
And it's in the legacy part. You know, it's honored, you know, I appreciate all that stuff, all the good comments. I think me being a league person and actually caring about leagues at every center I've been to, which have been all of them, even Honor is closed, Playmore's closed, and Parkway burnt. I've always been very big about leagues. You know, still traditional guy. I know how the business is evolving, I'm evolving with it. But just knowing that I do believe in league bowling, I want it to be successful no matter where I've been, and not matter whatever center I'm in, just as a whole. Yeah, so always just kind of being a pioneer for league bowling, and yeah.
Look good?
Yeah. Pioneer is always good.
Huh?
Pioneer is always good,
Very good.
I think.
Pioneer.
Yeah.
Pioneer.
Anything you're a pioneer of, that's great. Let's go back to the Hall of Fame thing, just because I wish I could have been here and that was cool.
Sure, yeah.
Did you, is that
Definitely.
something that ever occurred to you? Cause I remember Mike mentioned it, we were very excited, we did, again, we had the whole thing set up, man.
Yeah,
We were gonna have you in here, we are gonna have a knock on the door to interrupt the show and like tell you that it was happening and everything. So, just one last time for us, man, like, how did that actually feel like inside? What
It was
you
great. I
thinking,
mean, it was amazing. I remember going to my grandfather's back in probably 94, 95. Remember it like it was yesterday. Remember going to my mother's, probably early 2000s maybe. And thinking, wow, you know, I could one day do this. And then I got old enough. And yeah, just a great honor just to be joined with everybody in the Hall of Fame. I looked out on the main poster a couple months ago, and I either knew 95% of the people, at least on that board.
Yeah,
So I mean, that was an honor, just knowing those people that, some of them passed away 35, 40 years ago. But I still remember their names or stories about them or whatnot. So that was the coolest thing. And knowing them personally and knowing what they did, what they contributed
Yeah.
to the sport, you know, either by service or by performance, either one, just made it, yeah, pretty cool.
the fact that it's like, hey, I'm one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you were bowling, cause did you, do you still have your PBA card?
I do not.
That'd be pretty cool if you did.
I do not.
That'd be a cool flex.
Like,
2 years on it.
No, I mean, I thought.
He
it
don't
would-
even have his league card.
It
What
would
are you
go-
talking about?
That'd be a cool souvenir,
That's gonna
man.
be a house.
No, no, that was
I actually
a
have my
patch.
PBA patch.
Yeah.
Patch.
That's framed.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How many regionals did you do? Was it 2, 3? Three.
I
So I know what one was Enterprise.
Enterprise, I went to, Chattanooga had one.
Did you cross with anybody at any of those regionals? You're like, man, that's pretty cool. Was there any like pros that everybody knew?
I did, matter of fact, in, I think it was Nashville, I crossed with Guppy True. And Guppy
Oh, man.
used to bowl, he bowled some regionals or something in Guntersville.
Yeah.
Really?
Years ago when I grew up, and I was actually, did a major minor with Guppy as my team.
Nice.
Did you get a guppy grip?
No, I didn't. And then, you know, down here, what's really cool is, they had the ladies PWBA tour here in the 90s, and I was teamed up with Tish Johnson.
Ooh.
And she was a
Tish.
hellraiser and beer drinker. Her, my mother and her father got along like a chain.
Yes.
And my grandfather actually had Carolyn Doran, which was now, was it Carolyn? The young
Karen
one.
Dorland
Is the young one.
CDB,
The young one?
no, that was Kathy.
He had Kathy.
Yeah,
They came on-
Kathy
They came on
Lindsay.
dead last.
Yeah.
Because I don't like her. They came on dead last. But that was some cool stuff. But I think really,
Somebody said that to me when we were watching that Rocket City Challenge from the
Yeah.
day, and she was on TV. There's the original Karen haircut.
there she is. But I think, you know, just being with, you know, working with Jimmy, that was such a great honor. I mean, knowing what he had did in the 60s and 70s on tour, you know, and being on TV, and we watched him. He made a show one day, I was a little small, I still remember it, you know, that was a big thing for Huntsville, you know, Jimmy was the guy. And, that was really, really cool. And luckily, I mean, I was honored to spend time with him, you know, he actually was the manager of my grandfather's place for a while. So able to spend, being in that time, you know, spending time with him and learning, and that was fundamentals, you know.
Yeah.
Cause back then, Jimmy could hook it when nobody could hook it. And that was always a thing, you know, nowadays it's so, to mention two-handed, it's about hooking it, watching the pin flop. Back then, he was doing that when nobody was hooking rubber.
Yeah.
He was hooking rubber. Or
Rubber ball.
Yeah.
That's great.
I bet his hand like hamburger meat too, didn't it?
Because my thumb used to.
Mm-hmm.
I bet.
So that's another thing that's involved too. It's like we're trying, like as push-up
Oh,
operators,
grips.
you're trying to get that grip just right and not have any calluses or anything.
Mhm.
But back in the day, it was like It was like a badge of honor, like, my hand is this tore up.
Yeah, you throw a tournament and come back and get a potato, chop it out, pour it, and stick thumb in it. Just keep it flowing with it, because you gotta go back the next day for
Yeah.
12, 14 more games.
Yeah, that's great, man. I hurt just thinking.
And that
about
interchangeable thumb, I mean, bowler's tape used to be my best friend.
Yeah.
Black and the white bowler's tape, you know, swelling, and I would always start, and I would never swell, I would always go down. And now it's just there, it's technology.
Yeah.
Change your thumb hole.
Yeah, just put a different size in it.
Hey, mechanic, look behind lane 12, is there a thumb hole way back there? Who would have thought we'd have heard this 30 years ago, right?
Right now, you're not wrong.
I've stopped telling them to look. They just say, I left my thumb. I said, you'll never see it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone. It's
Yeah.
I
gone.
have 20 back there with the desk.
Better that you don't actually find a real thumb back there.
We haven't yet.
I know you did.
Just the full nails, that's it, no thumb bone or anything yet. This is just about the last call for this episode. You got any questions out there if you're watching? Send them in right quick, Curtis will get them relayed to us.
I do wanna ask you, okay, so you said Jimmy Certain. Anybody else you considered a mentor when you were youth moving up to adults? And I know you moved up adults when you can move up at 16.
Yeah,
16, yeah.
you were cooking adults when you were a kid, weren't you? Like,
Yeah, makes the most mad in the league days.
I forgot about that.
Averaging 220 at 16 years old.
Yeah.
That's asinine.
This,
There were a while, I would think probably Fred Homer.
Okay.
I bowled Fred Homer for years after school. We always bowled 3 or 4 games, and my late uncle Terry Whitsitt, I looked up to him. He would hook the fingertips out of the ball. A couple more. Tony said I couldn't mention one name.
Yeah, but you can.
Richard Smock,
Yeah.
definitely Richard.
Well,
Yeah.
I did know that one.
I knew that. As soon as you said that, I was like, I know.
But yeah, Richard definitely was a part of me growing up and learning the sport fundamentally. For anybody that could play golf, bowling, and pool, like Jan, you know, Richard was always somebody to look up to and learn from. And there's many more, I'm sure, I can't think of names.
Oh, yeah.
George Carlisle.
Oh, yeah.
Was my biggest mentor. I started with AMF in 2005. I know George forever, anyway, before that. So George was always kind of like a grandfather figure to me. He was always.
He was that to everybody.
He was, yeah, you know, and I could go to George and talk about bowling and the business and what he did for the community in high schools and elementary schools. But it's sharing the love of the sport with people.
I have a quick question for you. This is kind of off topic, and I'm really not trying to rabbit hole this thing, but what you just said reminded me of something, because I used to work in the back a little bit. I'm not sure if you were. But there's all the, I remember doing this in school in like 5th grade, I think, even back in the day, where we did bowling for a couple weeks. Like they brought the pins, and
Plastic,
kind of
the rubber ball and.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
so we still got a lot of those stuff. Do you see that coming back ever again, do you think?
I would hope, you know, after
That would
COVID
be
hit,
really cool.
we did a lot of revenue off the school groups.
I didn't even think about that aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, food and drink and the food, of course, soda. The bowling part, we had a good chunk of our revenue to do that. COVID hit, they lost a bunch of grants, they got people on buses now, so much stuff happened. I've reached out to all the coaches I knew.
Yeah.
And they just, you know, can't do it, so. It's sad, but, you know, maybe one day. We still got the pins and some of the balls. No, we
Yeah.
don't. No, we don't.
No, really? Got rid, oh, man.
Oh, darn.
It's another new workbench. But yeah, maybe one day, but I think that was great exposure for our kids, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But the only thing that always got to me, we would have 150 kids in here a day.
Yeah.
And we mentioned leagues to them and how fun it was,
Yep.
and we would never get anybody to go away. But maybe they can bring their parents and
Yeah, that would be fun.
bowl with us.
Get it going again. Cause like you said too, this is the last thing I'll mention, and then we'll touch on the merch real quick and we'll wrap her up and get out of here, but something I know I've talked to Curtis about. Curtis might have been the first one to mention it, but I think I've heard both of you guys mention it in talkings of, since you've been here, you've seen 2nd, 3rd, and 4th generation families coming in here, coming back, you know what I mean? And that's how it is. My dad took me bowling as a kid. My boys are out there waiting on us right now. They bowl, so I mean, when you start to see the multiple generations coming in, that's pretty cool.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I do like that. So as you've seen, Harry behind us, we have quite a bit of the DGAB merchandise. We're working on more things. But the jerseys, as you see, that Mikkel is wearing right now, with Harry on it, these are the DGAB OG jerseys. And we have, I think this is what, an XL and Mike?
So, we came up with this idea, we got kind of guessed your size, but we want to gift you with, an XL.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Harry on Harry.
So are you
man.
XL first? Boom, look, we guessed right.
I mean, I'll make myself XL.
Oh.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no, man, absolutely. No, that's the thing about it, like I said, like, if y'all, I just gonna give a big shout out before we get off here. Big shout out to this guy right here. If not for this guy, we don't have these jerseys, so thank you, Dustin.
My pleasure.
You know, I remember Dustin was the one that said, you know, Mike, hats can only go so far, we need some jerseys. I said, can you help a brother out? And
Say
he
less.
did.
Yeah.
He said, say less. So, and these are not, what do they say, that they're not mid.
They are not mid. They're pretty Sigma.
No, they're not mid, yeah.
Fire AF.
So-
I am also wearing mine from behind the camera.
He is.
Yes. So,
Which you're probably about to see Curtis because he's gonna take us out with the like I'll describe it on camera.
well, yeah, but here's the thing too, one more thing I want to get. in
Absolutely.
here.
Yes, for sure.
So I came up with this idea, you know, guys, like we got our hats and everything and stuff like that, but going back to, we didn't really get to talk about a couple of previous episodes, but one of the episodes that stuck out was the one you and I did. And we started the year off and it's like, what are our goals? And here we are 9 months later. Life motto, 1% better every day. So we're doing these limited edition run hats for about a month. If anybody's interested in one of these, it's gonna have Harry on the front, 1% better every day on the back.
Well, bring that in.
$45. Here, Curtis, you come up here and don't knock the cameras over. But yeah, those are gonna be limited edition run for a month, 1% better every day. That's a motto that's become a thing here with
Yeah.
the DGAP brand. So, if anybody's interested in that, send me a message, let me know, I'll get those for you. But yeah, like I said, man, we pretty much just went through our childhood up there. There's a lot of
Good stuff.
a lot of pool nights, a lot of lock up, and I want to do one more memory, okay? Because it's like I learned a very valuable lesson as far as oiling lanes, okay? So this guy right here put me in charge of oiling the lanes when he went to nationals, and he showed me. He said, "Do this, and this." Okay, cool. And back then, my comprehension rate was kind of terrible. So I did what I thought was what he said, and we bowled Monday night. We bowled the league Monday night, and everybody looked at me and said, "Did you oil these lanes?" "Yes, yes, sir, yes, ma'am." They're not hooking, and y'all, they did not hook. The highest league score that night was Kerry Couch with a 550.
On house shot?
Yeah,
Is it a plastic?
it was not a house shot. So basically what had happened was, is on the oiler, there were two, you can fill me in here, springs, thank you.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to hook those springs. I did not hook the
That would
springs.
keep the pads doing this.
Yes.
Well, for
Yeah.
the Christmas tree.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, well, this one just went,
You had 42 feet of,
yeah, and it was gutter to gutter. And I'll never forget the first Monday back, he was back, and they're like, "Did Michael oil these lanes?" I said, "No, I didn't." I did not, I promise. And I think we had like 300 that night, so. So just a little fun memory there for you. So I put out a sports shop before sports shops were cool.
that was OG sports shop, was, yeah.
Champion shot.
That's right.
Final
But what
boss.
was funny about that too is Nathan was so happy. He was, "Dude, I shot 399."
Brian just said 42 feet of flooded.
Yes, oh yeah, but it was. I think you had to run the stripper like 1 or 2 times that next time.
Damn throat, and all the oil was let out.
Look, I'm not perfect. But,
Hey. You
We
gotta
have
have
to be
one
in the old
story.
lanes. You can't have oops.
Well, I did. So,
I have to multiple times.
yeah, so it just, again, just a little fun memory for it. Like I said, there's just a lot of, we could probably do a part 2 of this.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many
Yeah.
stories, but I wanted to bring that up here though. But no, like I said, appreciate you coming on here. Awesome episode 10, Dustin.
Cool.
And
Thanks, fellas.
Man in the suit.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, man.
Man in the suit,
Thank you.
man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
That's right. 220 pounds, unfortunately, of twisted steel,
You can fix that.
and you're a fantastic host. Yeah, I know, I'm working on 218 actually.
218.
218 last night, 216 this morning, thank you. So,
Okay.
Curtis, yeah, thank you everybody for being with us on
Curtis?
TikTok, on YouTube.
What?
This people see you.
This will probably get posted on
This is YouTube
Facebook
and
after
TikTok.
this. Yep, so thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching in the future. If you do, we will catch you next time. We got all types of stuff.
Curtis is gonna take us out.
Curtis will be taking us out, and we will catch you on the flip. So Curtis, do your thing.
All right, guys, you guys know the spill. If you guys like what you see, like, subscribe, share, love, everything you can. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Of course, we're on TikTok. This was episode 10, guys, so we've come a long way. So glad to have Wes.
I was late, but.
No, it was actually cool. He did it. You did it. So.
I want to thank our moderator, Brian, did come in and help me moderate a little bit.
Oh, nice.
Get
Thank
the
you.
community together.
Yeah.
Like I said, you guys,
Love you guys.
like, subscribe, share, tell all your friends, tell your mothers, your fathers, brothers, your sisters, all that jazz.
We'll
And-
catch you on the flippity.
Yeah, as Stephanie says, catch you on the flippity flip.
Yeah.